Hello everybody, Scott Galbraith here, and I'm coming to you from my car, just as I'm about to start my job at Uber Eats driving. Got my hat right here, my hat and my apron. Most Uber Eats drivers don't have this, but I wear this because it speeds things up so that the people in the restaurants know who I am. But anyway, just before the dinner rush started here, I've been meaning to make this video for a while, and it's just kind of an opinion I have about... everybody and their cousin has an opinion about what's going to be happening in Season 4 of Cobra Kai. And everybody, including my friend Keith and a lot of my other friends who are fans of the show, believe that we are absolutely positively going to see Terry Silver next season because of the way they set things up. While I am somebody who would enjoy that, I'm not counting my chicks just yet. Now, what do I mean by this? You have to look at, if you want to know what a show's going to do, first of all, you have to look at what's going to give them the most story. And the other thing you have to look at is what's going on with the actors in real life. And I took a very hard look at Thomas Ian Griffith, who played Terry Silver, and I've noticed a couple things about him. Here is what has to happen. Okay, well, first of all, let me back up a bit. One thing that I noticed is that over the years, after Karate Kid ended and before Cobra Kai started, there were a lot of Comic-Cons where people from those movies would show up and do like autograph sessions or do reunion panels. And while I found ones with Ralph Macchio, William Zabka, and Martin Kove, all of who are regulars on Cobra Kai, even found one, I can never remember the actor who plays Chosen, but I think I saw him at one. I even saw Sean Kanan, who played Mike. There's a picture of Ralph Macchio, Martin Kove, William Zabka, and Sean Kanan all together at one of these like autograph conventions. I couldn't find a single photo of Thomas Ian Griffith participating in any of these. And from what I can tell, most of the people who have been involved in the show have been people who have participated in like reunion panels and such. Like, for example, the actress who played Komiko, she was at the 30th reunion panel that they did. I don't know if it might have been 25th, because I know that John Avildsen was still alive and he was there. So was Pat Morita's daughter. But at any rate, so you got to remember, Thomas Ian Griffith has not participated in any of these. He hasn't really been somebody who has, shall we say, made a living off of the popularity of the Karate Kid after it was over. So keep that in mind, okay? Really, the only reunion he's participated in was the Reunited Apart just recently on Zoom, where they basically got everybody back. They even got people back who I know are never going to be on the show because their roles were so minor in the movies. Like the guy, I don't think we'll ever see the guy who did the crane kick. I don't think we'll ever see the guy who played Goon number 1 in Karate Kid 3 and only had one line, who was there. They had one of Ali's friends there for that reunion. So there were definitely people on that Zoom reunion who probably will not be on the show because their characters were too minor. Not to mention, Thomas Ian Griffith, he only said about like 2 or 3 words. He only got asked one question and only chimed in once the entire time. And it was a Zoom call that was for a good cause, as well as he didn't have to leave his home to do it. And so I'm not sure that we can say that his participation in that Zoom call cements that he's going to be on Cobra Kai. So to put all this together, here's what has to happen. Think about this logically for a second. Now, like I said, I could be totally wrong. For Thomas Ian Griffith to return as Terry Silver, Cobra Kai producers have to get a guy who has never participated in any reunions except one that he didn't have to leave his home for, who has not acted in 14 years, who has really led a pretty quiet life, and they have to get him to do it while safety measures for the pandemic are still in place while shooting. And they have to ask a guy who has pretty much lived a quiet life and never really banked on the fact that he was a part of the Karate Kid franchise to participate in a show that is now the most popular show on Netflix. Which means he would go from having walked away from acting 16 years ago to now being center stage. And if you just think about that all the way through, maybe the show is awesome enough that he will do it. That's always possible. There's an exception to every rule, and maybe this is his exception. But I just looked through that, and I say, do you really think that they're going to be able to get him back, given all of that? I'd love it if they did, but I'm not getting my hopes up. I will say this. I think that one of the reasons why they had Martin Kove's character, Kreese, on the phone say, "Hey, long time," rather than saying, "Hey, long time, Silver," is so they could change who Kreese is talking to on the phone if they can't get Thomas Ian Griffith. Because, in my opinion, the other end of that phone call has to be one of two people. It's got to be Terry Silver or Mike Barnes. And we know that Sean Kanan has been campaigning to be on this show since season 2. He even told a group of reporters he was going to be in season 2, and then he wasn't. So maybe I'm a little biased here. I've been wanting Mike Barnes back on this thing since season 2, and I think if they bring back Terry Silver, it's less likely that they're going to bring back Mike Barnes at the same time. Only because one thing this show has been very good about is not burning all their legacy players at once. Because eventually, you have to remember something. Eventually, there will be nobody to bring back. Eventually, I mean, even look at what they did with Karate Kid 2. The only people they could bring back from Karate Kid 2 were Komako, Chosen, and the girl who rang the bell, because a lot of the other legacy players from Karate Kid 2 are sadly no longer with us. Pat Morita's gone. The guy who played Sato's gone. The guy who played Komako's aunt, I can't remember her name right now, she's gone. So they literally brought back everybody from Karate Kid 2 they could have. And you have to also remember something else. They tried to get back Steve McQueen, who played Dutch, and he wasn't available, and he's out of acting. So they went ahead with the episode with the other Cobra Kai guys anyway and said that Dutch was in jail. And then they've also revealed they had a plan B if Elizabeth Shue said no. Because when they set up the end of season 2 for her to come back, she wasn't confirmed yet. And the plan was to have it be, for those of you who haven't read this, it was going to be that Allie's ex-husband was catfishing Johnny on Facebook. I'm so glad that did not happen. Like everybody else, I'm ecstatic that they brought back Elizabeth Shue. But you have to remember something. Elizabeth Shue was the same issue that they're going to have if they ever try to get Hilary Swank. It's the fact that, can they afford her? Now, one thing that's changed is, I don't think you ever could have thought about having Hilary Swank on when the show was on YouTube. But now that it's a big Netflix show, maybe they can get Hilary Swank in the future. But the big difference is Elizabeth Shue and Hilary Swank, they're both still acting. Thomas Ian Griffith left acting. It's not that the roles dried up. He decided he didn't want to act anymore. And at the same time, there's also a part of me that thinks that, I mean, you always want your heroes to overcome a challenge. But I feel like if you bring back Terry Silver and he's still mean and rich and as powerful as he was in Karate Kid 3, that's an uphill battle that Daniel and Johnny may never win. And you also have to remember something else. There's also a halfway point here. Everybody's talking about, are they going to get him back? Are they not going to get him back? Well, he might be willing to come back for like a cameo, but not as a regular. The way that they were setting things up with the tournament being the plot of next season, you really need to give Kreese an ally that's going to be like a new series regular, somebody that's going to be in multiple episodes. And the question is, would Thomas Ian Griffith be willing to do that? And I'm not sure, even if they got him back, I'm not sure he would do that. Because other than Martin Kove, William Zabka, and Ralph Macchio, no other people who are legacy players, that's a term I use for everybody who was in the original movies, no other legacy players have come back for more than just like a 1 or 2 episode arc. So, like I said, the way that they were setting it up is whoever Kreese is calling, he's asking for help for the tournament. At least that's the impression that I got. And here's the other thing. I think it would make sense if he was calling Mike Barnes if Terry Silver is dead or in jail. Because he met Mike Barnes through Terry Silver. And you saw the way he was looking at the photo earlier with the one guy who got killed, who they did as a misdirect for us to think he was Terry Silver. And so he could be looking at that photo thinking to himself, man, I wish Terry were here, but I'm going to call Mike Barnes because I know he's still around. That would still make sense. Now, there's one thing that people have speculated, and I really hope to God they don't do this, and I really don't think they're going to. Some have speculated that if Thomas Ian Griffith is not available, they're going to take the young actor who played Silver in the flashbacks and put him in aged-up makeup. No. If you cannot get back Thomas Ian Griffith, please do not do that. Okay? Nobody should. The only person from the old films they have ever recast is Allie's mom. And Allie's mom was in the first Karate Kid for like a total of 20 seconds of screen time in 2 different scenes. So that's not a big deal. But you cannot recast Terry Silver. It's Thomas Ian Griffith or Terry's dead. That's I think we can all agree on that. At least I believe I can. So that's just what I wanted to say. That if Thomas, I could, like I said, this thing I could be totally wrong. Thomas Ian Griffith could be happy to come back. Could be his favorite role. He could be watching Cobra Kai and saying, "Hey, tell me when, and I'm there." For all I know, I could be totally off base here. But just based on the research I've done, it would be great if he came back, but I don't think we can bet the farm on that he's going to be. And if he isn't, I guarantee you the writers of Cobra Kai have a contingency plan, just like they did for when they couldn't get the guy who played Dutch, and just like they were going to if they couldn't have gotten Elizabeth Shue. So, anyway, that's my opinion on what's going to happen in Season 4, and like everybody else, I can't wait. Maybe a photograph will drop showing who is or who's not on the set. Let's hope so. After all, they couldn't keep Chozen and Komiko coming back a secret for Season 3. We all knew that was coming a mile away.